A staccato of shots that saw 34 bodies of miners lying on the ground, motionless, for a moment engulfed in a cloud of dust. The striking miners were gunned down by police after a tense standoff that lasted several days. Most miners at Lonmin are still wild and uncomfortable to talk about the tragedy. Distance Mahashe is one of the miners who gathered at the Rocky Hill, led by Mgcineni Noki, who got to be known as the man in the green blanket. Mahashe has been working at Lonmin for 7 years as a rock drill operator. Back home in the Eastern Cape, he has to take care of his 4 kids, ailing mother and 3 siblings. 4 months later, he's still grappling with the reality of what took place on that fateful day.
Bekunzima kakhulu and mawucinga la ngelibuhlungu kakhulu la nge-16 la ngelibuhlungu kakhulu ndabona amapolisa ebulala abafowethu ngendlela ebuhlungu.
What happened on the 16th is still tough to comprehend. Our friends and family died on the 16th. We saw and watched police kill them in cold blood. We had done nothing. We were sitting on the hill and all we wanted was our money. The cops came, they acted as if they came in peace. Next thing you know, they opened fire on us.
He's on his way to honor his night shift duty. He's clutching a small bag which contains his food, clock card and a bottle of cold water. He's wearing a white overall and a cap. Mahashe appears a bit serious and pauses from time to time before responding to questions. He maintains that the status quo has not changed and the psychological damage he has suffered is incomprehensible. He says they haven't been given what was agreed on.
When you think of this, you feel bad because life is hard. And life has not changed, it is very hard. The police were wrong. We did not do a thing, yet they decided to kill us. I survived, I was lucky. But I'm still going to strike again. And I'm not sure how that will end up this time. But I have no choice. We need the money. No matter what happens, even if they come back to kill us again, we need the money. I need to clothe my family, the kids, the wife.
The Lonmin strike sparked a series of strikes in the mining sector, culminating in thousands of workers being laid off. Similar behavior spread into other sectors of the economy. The truck drivers' strike was also marred by violence. More than 20,000 truck drivers took to the streets, demanding higher wages. Some trucks were set alight, leaving some drivers dead, while others were hospitalized. This driver, Nazir Hassin, explains the attack.
So as we were coming down the road, we were 6 here out onto the street and they had bricks in their hand and they threw onto the windscreen and and they start throwing us, through the window onto us and tell us to say we must jump off. And as we jumped off, they put the truck to fire.
Subsequent to that, a 3-year wage deal with employer body, the Road Freight Employer Association, was reached. According to the deal, workers will get 10% for the first year, 8% for the second year and 9% for the third year. Lone Sharp is a labor analyst at Adcop Holdings and explains how the recent wave of strikes will affect the economy in the long term.
We've seen over time that as wages rise in various industries, employment in the long run falls. So, for example, in mining and agriculture, where minimum wage laws have caused wages to rise significantly, we've seen over 1 million job losses in those 2 sectors alone. This will occur also in transport. Workers know that transport is an integral part of the economy, so they're very opportunistic in raising strikes because they know that companies are held over a barrel in the short term and need to give in to wage demands.
The South African Post Office casual workers remained on an illegal strike for a number of months following their unattainable demands. They all wanted to be placed in permanent positions all at the same time, an impossible task as the availability of positions and the qualifications criteria needed for those positions were not met. Naren Rao is Chief Executive Officer at the South African Chamber of Commerce and says the Chamber's latest survey shows that South Africans will have it hard next year as a result of what transpired this year.
the best we could hope for is that the festive season retail trade activity and broader trade activity is sufficient to help businesses overcome the challenges from a financial perspective that have accumulated in the course of 2012. That being said, we are going into 2013 with very low levels of business confidence, and I believe that the first few months of 2013 will be very challenging. Consumer confidence is low. Consumers are highly cautious about their expenditure, and we're looking at that against a backdrop of strike activity, against a backdrop of global ratings downgrades and negative outlooks on South Africa.
Meanwhile, thousands of farm workers in the Duduk embarked on a strike to demand a minimum wage of 150 rand per day. Unions have now set a deadline for the 9th of January next year for wage demands to be met. COSATU Western Cape Secretary Tony Ehrenreich.
The strike is over. We have an agreement that we're going to negotiate at farm level, and we're going to pursue the 150 of all of the workers. We're going to bring fairness and justice to every farm, and we want the farmers and the farm workers to partner together to create that new future that's required in agriculture.